Welcome to the Fearful Fright series, where we will be reading with our favorite green ghoul, Grimmer. Now sit back and enjoy this twisted tale. Today our story is called Below the Tides. The casting email said it all. Survive the island, outlast the others, win everything. That's what pulled Daniel Mercer in. That, and the fact that Lena Hartman insisted they needed something real to shake their lives awake again. You sit behind a desk all day, Lena had said, arms crossed, eyes daring him. And I photograph weddings where people pretend to be happy. Let's do something that matters. Daniel didn't believe an island survival show mattered. But Lena did, and when Lena believed in something, it had gravity. So they signed the contract. They boarded the boat. And they went. The island didn't have a name. At least, not one the producers would share. It appeared at dawn like a bruise on the horizon, dark green jungle spilling over jagged rock cliffs, surrounded by restless, churning water. The kind of place that felt untouched. Wrong. There were 10 contestants total. A mix of personalities, a former Marine named Travis, a yoga instructor named Camille, a quiet tech guy named Owen, twins named Marcus and Mel, and a handful of others who tried too hard to act brave. The host, a smiling man named Victor Hale, welcomed them on the beach. Everything you need is here, he said, gesturing to the dense jungle. Food, water, shelter, if you can find it. Cameras are hidden across the island. Survive for 30 days, and the prize is yours. What about animals? Lena asked. Victor's smile didn't change. Nothing you can't handle. That should have been the first red flag. The first night, the island sounded alive. Not birds, not insects. Something else. Low, distant noises that echoed up from beneath the ground, like the island itself was breathing. Daniel lay awake beside Lena under their makeshift shelter of palm leaves. You hear that? He whispered. Lena nodded slowly. Caves, maybe. Underground water. But she didn't sound convinced. Neither was he. Day 3 was when things began to go wrong. Marcus disappeared. One moment he was gathering firewood near a rocky outcrop. The next, gone. No scream, no struggle. Just gone. They searched for hours. Finally, they found something. A hole. Hidden behind thick vines at the base of the rock wall. It wasn't large, just wide enough for a person to slip through if they crouched. And from within, a cold, damp wind breathed out. Cave system, Travis muttered. He probably fell in. Then we go get him, Lena said. But Travis shook his head. Not without ropes, not without lights. That's how you lose more people. They marked the entrance. And they left. That night, the sounds from below grew louder. Closer. By day 5, the island felt different. Oppressive. Camille swore she saw something watching her from the trees, something pale that slipped behind the trunks when she looked directly at it. Owen started mapping the island, trying to keep track of where people disappeared. Because now it wasn't just Marcus. Mel vanished the next morning. Then one of the others. Always near rock formations. Always near the sound of wind coming from below. Daniel and Lena found another entrance on day 7. This one wasn't hidden. It yawned open in the side of a cliff like a wound, wide, dark, impossible to see the bottom. A faint smell drifted out. Rot. And something metallic. Producers wouldn't let this happen, Daniel said, though he didn't believe it. Lena crouched near the edge, shining a salvaged flashlight into the darkness. The beam didn't reach the bottom. But it did catch something moving. Fast. Too fast. She jerked back. We're not alone here. That was when they heard it. A scream. From inside the cave. Human. Fading quickly into something wet and choking. Daniel grabbed Lena's arm. We need to go. But Lena didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on the cave. Did you hear that? She whispered. I heard enough. No, listen. Daniel strained. At first, there was nothing. Then, a voice. Weak. Echoing upward. Help, please. It was Owen. Against every instinct, they went inside. They found torches from the abandoned camp supplies and lit them, stepping into the cave's mouth as the jungle sounds faded behind them. The temperature dropped instantly. The air was thick and damp, clinging to their skin. The walls weren't smooth rock. They were uneven. Almost like something had clawed through them. They followed Owen's voice deeper. The cave sloped downward, twisting into a labyrinth of narrow passages and sudden drops. Their footsteps echoed in ways that didn't make sense, like the space was larger than it should have been. Stay close, Daniel said. Lena nodded, gripping his hand tightly. They found Owen in a small chamber. He was alive. Barely. His leg was mangled, twisted at an impossible angle, skin torn open like something had tried to drag him away. They're here, he rasped. Who? Lena asked. Owen's eyes darted into the darkness behind them. They live down here. They've always been here. A sound echoed from deeper in the cave. Clicking. Wet. Rhythmic. Daniel turned slowly, raising the torch. Shapes moved in the darkness. Tall. Too thin. Their limbs bent the wrong way, joints snapping softly as they shifted. Pale, almost translucent skin stretched over elongated bodies. Their faces, if they were faces, were smooth, featureless, except for wide, vertical slits that opened and closed like gills. And from those slits came the sound. Click. 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 Lena whispered, what are they? Owen's voice cracked. Hungry. The creatures moved faster than anything Daniel had ever seen. They didn't run. They folded through space, limbs snapping forward, bodies jerking in unnatural bursts. One lunged. Daniel grabbed Lena and pulled her back as the creature slammed into the rock where they'd stood. Owen screamed. The sound cut off instantly. Daniel didn't look back. Run. They fled deeper into the cave, not out. They'd lost the way back. Behind them, the clicking multiplied. Echoing. Closing in. The tunnels became a nightmare maze. Narrow passages forced them to crawl. Open chambers swallowed their torchlight. Sometimes they heard water. Sometimes whispers. Not from each other. From the walls. At one point, Lena stopped suddenly. Do you see that? Daniel followed her gaze. Scratches. Covering the walls. Not random. Words. Names. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Carved into the stone. Previous contestants. Daniel breathed. Lena shook her head slowly. Some of these are old. Really old. Another realization hit him. This show. Dot has been here before, Lena finished. The ground beneath them shifted. A low rumble rolled through the cave. And then, a section of the floor collapsed behind them, cutting off the path. The creatures, clicking, echoed from the other side. Frustrated. Hungry. Blocked. For now. They wandered for what felt like hours. Maybe days. Time didn't work underground. Their torch burned low. Their water ran out. And the sounds never stopped. Finally, they found something unexpected. Light. Faint. Blue. Coming from a narrow tunnel ahead. They pushed through, and emerged into a hidden underground lagoon. Bioluminescent algae lit the cavern, casting an eerie glow over still, black water. And in the center, a cluster of wooden debris. Pieces of old rafts. Broken. Rotting. Daniel's heart sank. They tried to escape, he said. From here? Lena asked. He nodded. There must be a way to the surface. A distant splash echoed. Not from them. From the water. They froze. The surface rippled. Something moved beneath. Bigger than the cave. Slow. Circling. Lena whispered, "We don't go in there." Daniel nodded. "No, we build something that stays on it." Using the broken raft pieces, vines, and anything salvageable, they worked. Hours passed. The water creature circled closer each time. Occasionally, something brushed the underside of their makeshift platform. Heavy. Curious. The clicking sounds returned, now from tunnels surrounding the lagoon. The cave creatures were coming. Trapped between two nightmares. "Hurry," Lena whispered. "I'm trying." The raft barely held together. But it floated. "Good enough," Daniel said. They pushed it into the water. The surface rippled violently. Something huge surged beneath them. "Go," Lena shouted. They climbed on. Daniel used a broken plank to paddle toward a narrow opening where water flowed out of the cavern. The raft rocked violently. A pale shape rose beneath them, massive, eyeless, its mouth opening wide enough to swallow the raft whole. And then, it stopped. The clicking erupted from the cave walls. The thin creatures gathered at the water's edge. Hissing. The giant thing beneath them sank back into the depths. As if it feared them. Daniel didn't question it. He paddled harder. The tunnel narrowed. The current picked up. And suddenly, light. Real light. They burst out of the cave into the open ocean, the raft tumbling over churning waves. They clung to it as the island loomed behind them. Alive. Watching. Waiting. Hours later, a rescue boat found them. They were the only survivors. Weeks passed. They were debriefed. Interviewed. Paid. Told to keep quiet. "The show has been cancelled," a producer said stiffly. "A tragic accident." Daniel almost laughed. Lena didn't. She hadn't smiled since they left the island. One night, back home, Lena woke him. "Daniel." Her voice was wrong. Flat. Hollow. He sat up. "What is it?" She was standing at the window, staring into the dark. "They followed us." His chest tightened. "What?" She turned slowly. And for a moment. Just a moment. Her face didn't look right. Too smooth. Too still. Something beneath her skin shifted. A faint click. Daniel froze. "Lena." She smiled. "Too wide." "They don't just live underground," she said softly. Another click echoed in the room. Not from her. From the hallway. Then another. From the ceiling. From inside the walls. Lena stepped closer. And the last thing Daniel heard before the lights went out was the island. Breathing. Again.